Command Point is sponsored by Crossfire Games. Use code CommandPoint25 at checkout to get 5% off your next purchase. Link in the description.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Command Point. This is the 60... Oh, man, it might be the 69th episode of the Command Point podcast? 68th.
Nice.
68th episode, sorry.
Oh, dude, you got me so excited. Oh, no.
We're one away. I'm Shane, your host, and I'm joined here today by a special guest, Ben from Kill Team Casuals, Battle Brothers Tabletop. Ben, how's it going?
That's me, man. I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. Just getting off work and ready to talk. I was talking about Kill Team at work. Now I'm ready to continue talking about Kill Team here with you. So let's do it.
Yeah, I've not had the luxury of talking about Kill Team at work, so I've got all my thoughts in my brain just kind of stewing around. But yeah, I mean, I was on your podcast, Kill Team Casuals, early in the edition, so now we're gonna return the favor here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've been I don't know how much you've been playing since the data slate, so a week ago, but I mean, I know since at least Adepticon you've been on the Plague Marine train, yeah.
Oh yeah, hardcore the Plague Train. I've got just like a handful of games in, nothing too crazy since the data slate, and just only with plagues. So just only the Cloud of Flies change for me, but still feels good. It's a weird change. Everybody, I don't think that's a hot take. It just feels like an odd tweak, but they're still fine. They're still rolling.
Yeah, that was kind of my take. We didn't touch on it too much last week in the last episode when we actually proper went over the data slate, but I did give like a throwaway line of, oh, that's right, Cloud of Flies got nerfed. That's kind of weird. I don't think that was the I do think the team is on the stronger end. I don't know if Cloud of Flies was the reason. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I've been thinking about, okay, so if they needed a tweak, what would you tweak? And like, it's weird because also when I'm playing plagues, I feel like I could pretty easily be sort of dismantled like by the right plays, but so I never played against plagues. I've only played as them, and so I feel like they could be pulled apart. But just the durability, which it's a fine line of how to tweak them. And so if you wanted to tweak them, it's the lightest possible touch. I think like you could take their ceaseless down to balance, but that would hurt pretty bad because you already have to dash to get it, or less than dash. So I don't know. It's an odd change. They feel strong, like they feel strong as other elites are, but in just a different grindy, cool way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest strength of that team, at least in the way that it beats other teams, is Contagion. I played them quite a bit last month, and I'm not really sure how you would nerf Contagion because, I mean, it's already -1. You can't go less than that. So I'm not. Maybe you can make a 3-inch bubble, 2-inch bubble. I don't hate the idea of making Lumbering Death balanced because, kind of once you hit the midboard on like turn 2, you don't move a lot from there anyway. But I don't know. I think it would be a hard team to nerf. I think they're one of the strongest teams right now. So it's like we're definitely. I don't want to say definitely, but I would anticipate in 3 months we might see Plague Marine nerfs popping up again. But again, I'm not 100% sure how to do it.
Yeah. What you could do is maybe the Icon Bear could get walked back down from like instead of 3, because it was before you had the 3-inch synergy with the Icon Bear and the Cloud of Flies, so you could make that just no fly bone zone. So like maybe you take the Icon Bear down a little bit, so he doesn't always have a 3-inch bubble. Maybe it's a 2-inch bubble or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, we'll go a little more into the weeds on Plague Marines later in the episode. But I guess in general, like, you said you've gotten a few games in since the data slate. So I mean, what are your thoughts on it overall? I mean, obviously you weren't here last week when we talked about it, but what's been sticking out to you after like a week now?
Sticking out to me, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Vespids and how Vespids are back on the menu,
Oh,
and I don't see they are. I don't think they are. I don't think the changes are enough to help this team out, which is a bummer because the team is so good. So I see a lot of that, or not. Pardon me, the team looks so good. The models are sweet.
it's funny you bring up Vespids because I actually played a game against the new Vespids on Tuesday.
Did they destroy you? Are they unbeatable now?
No, they didn't. But so I was playing Jaegers. So I was immediately annoyed because it's another team that's just going to fly over my stupid mines. I'll never get to use my mines.
Yeah.
So I mean, the 11th body is it's very nice. Obviously, having an extra activation is cool. I will say something that I overlooked when I was looking at their buffs, or not overlooked, but I just kind of undervalued when I was looking at it, was the lethal 5 on the drone. You no longer need visibility to benefit from it. You just got to be within 6 of the drone.
That's cool.
And let me tell you, those guys were just like, they were pulling up on me. 4 attacks on 4s is balanced. They have like 300 communion points because they weren't spending them. And so they're usually getting like 2 rerolls. And man, it's like you get a couple 5-ups on that 12-inch bubble of the board. And it is brutal, man. They were just like, I got Jaegers. They're doing half damage reduction. The whole thing is they're going to eat the dice that you hit them with. But when a Vespid runs up and hits you for 2 crits and a hit, and you take 4 damage off the rip and it's piercing, I mean, I had a few Jaegers drop from like one shot from a Vespid. So I will say that I think that Vespids are still bad. I still don't think they're viable, really. But they have at least put them in a place where, they hit really hard. And I think before their offense wasn't really doing it. And at the very least now, it's kind of like in a Rekka place where I see Rekkas personally, where I don't think Rekkas are a good team, honestly. But they hit so hard that I think that can carry them forward a little bit in some games. I do think Rekkas are better than Vespids, but I mean, once those lethal 5 shots start popping off, it's a little scary.
Yeah, that's always the problem. I guess if you have the more communion points, it helps a little bit. But just hitting on 4s is so swingy, and so the lethal 5-up is a pretty significant change to when you do hit on those 4s. Sometimes you hit that lethal 5. But yeah, I think the Jaeger changes are interesting because I've never had a chance to fiddle around with them, but I've always wanted to play one of the dwarf teams, and so I this might be my time to bust out Jaegers to Jaeger bomb it. How did you find them? After the tweaks, do you think it's enough for them?
I mean, so I was most excited for Jaegers after the buff, so I've gotten a couple games in with them. I want to say 3 games on Jaegers since the buffs, and they got what I wanted plus a little bit extra, and I think they're pretty good. I think they're in a really good spot. I don't know if they're like a tournament winner, but where they are right now, and I mean, if you like Plague Marines, I will say, I think Jaegers are like a mid-range Plague Marine. You can play them that way a little bit, where they sort of waddle up to the, they waddle up to the midline, and then they invite the opponent to come try to kill them, and they're just so tanky with the half damage and the 8 wounds and the healing. They'll just eat the hit and then counterpunch really, really hard, which is kind of like Plague Marines, right?
Yeah, totally. If there's one thing I like across any type of war game that I play, I like not dying. Not dying is my favorite rule, and so any team that has damage reduction or straight up don't die, frenzy, whatever, any of that kind of stuff, it just calls to me. So like the whole Gormongers thing, I love that freaking disgusting half hit. Any sort of damage reduction, I love. So yeah, I have to give them a shot, dude. I bet I could do a pretty sweet Nurgle conversion on them too, make them like little Nurgle demons sort of waddling around. That'd be cool.
I would love to see that. I do like I liked them when they came out last edition. I was a big fan of the team, and honestly, it's like I know the big complaint everybody has is with their tac ops. So I've been, and a lot of people play Jaegers very defensively, and I have been in the past few games that I've played since the buff. I've been sort of testing the waters with just trying to play them as aggressively as I can, just to see what it feels like. Because in theory, your whole team moves up 4 inches on turn 1, in the strategy phase before turn 1. And so if you have the ability with these 10 beefy guys to throw a lot of them onto the midline on turn 1 if you want, which is like kind of a nutty thing that people don't typically do.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
And most people like to, stage passively with most teams, and especially a team like Jaegers. So I've just been throwing my guys in the midline and, stay out of 2 inches to avoid blasts and stuff. And you put yourself in this position where even if I win the roll-off and I have ways to hit the opponent on turn 2 if I take initiative, I've been just giving it, because I've gone so far forward that I have so many ways to hit you back, and I'm pretty sure that I can weather whatever you hit me with. So I'll just throw guys in the midline. I'll try not to have initiative on turn 2. And unlike with other teams, the other team is not going to give me initiative because they see all the ways I can hit them, so they'll take it. And because this team is very CP starved, you'll learn when you play them. After turn 1, you're dropping 2 CP on Blade Works and Survivalist every turn. So losing initiative is not too bad.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And I honestly, and the other side of that is with the way people complain about their tac ops, to, I guess, go full circle with the point I was trying to make, is when you put everybody on the midline, the tac ops that they have to take, which is, unfortunately, they have Seek and Destroy and Infiltration, which boils down to usually Storm Objectives or Surveillance. Both Storm Objectives and Surveillance become a lot easier when your whole team is on the midline turn 1. Getting one guy over into their territory and surveilling late turn 2 is not too bad. And since the resourceful tokens don't stack, if you're late into turn 2 and you have one left, there's no reason not to keep it or not to use it, because it's not going to be around at the end of the turn. So you use it, you move dash out and surveil, or you move surveil and dash back over. And in my experience in the games I've played, I've been getting 5 to 6 on all my tac ops. So I don't know. I mean, maybe aggro Jaegers are the way. I definitely need to hit the brakes a little bit sometimes, but it's a fun team, man. I really love them.
Yeah. The idea of the Storm Objectives is so funny, with these parkouring Jaegers, to get over to. I think it's also very unorthodox, and so there might be something there. But yeah, what an awful tac op pairing, dude. Is that the worst tac op combo? I think it's probably the worst tac op combo.
Easily.
I could have swore they had recon. I assumed, yeah. Gosh, that sucks.
I mean, yeah, that's like the copium buff that every Jaeger player wants, is give us recon, because it would fit really well. First of all, recon's good, but Jaegers, they're like scouts and hunters.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Why do they have Seek and Destroy Infiltration instead of recon? And maybe recon infiltration you could do, or recon Seek.
Yeah.
I could see either one of those. It feels like the only reason they went Seek and Destroy and Infiltration is because the other dwarf team has recon and security, and they just wanted them to be different. So it feels like it was a very arbitrary choice. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I do think there's a way to play them where the tac ops don't feel too bad, but yeah, nobody likes playing with surveillance every other game.
Yeah, that's a big bummer. But that's cool. At least they have some tech to pull it off.
For sure they do. So I guess what else? What have you played into anything over the past week that got buffed or nerfed? I guess.
I really wanted to play into the new Cassin, and see what's up with the Cassin or the Tempestus Scions, just or the Aquilons, whatever they are. But game I played with there didn't fall through, so all I played is Harlequins, and not the changes there are not super impactful. So I haven't played against many other teams, but I'm looking forward to maybe seeing some other teams play the game, show up to tournaments and seeing something that's not Warp Coven Legionaries, and actually seeing some elite killers back. Because what as much as I've always played elites, and so as much as I've always lived in fear of the Scions and the Cassin and stuff like that, it's a bummer that hasn't been enough aside from elves to keep the elites in check. So I really want to get some games in against. I don't know if you played against the Scions or anything. I just want to see what it feels like now, with that extra body. I don't know if it's enough, but maybe it's enough just to keep the elites in check, and that is going to be a good thing for the meta if true.
So it's great that you brought that up, because this past weekend, Ryan couldn't be on today. Ryan and I played a game. I ran new Ekkons against the new Castrican. And he was on the Castrican. So both of us kind of testing these teams. I hadn't played as Ekkons this edition, so I didn't have as much of a frame of reference. But the changes feel pretty nice. Like, I don't know, 11 bodies is like very good for a team with that hits on threes with
huge,
like multiple, like a plasma gun and 2 Melta weapons, and I kind of like it a lot. I think that they are in the top half of teams for sure. And you know, the drop insertion as a rule it's very good. And I think it gets overlooked a little bit because, you know, people will just, you know, play back and not let you shoot them. But the way, I mean, effectively, you either get shots, which it's kind of hard to avoid getting shot with drop insertion, especially now that they have 11 bodies. So that means that at the end of turn 1, you can have one more guy in the sky than you could before, if I'm not mistaken. So that's another pass on turn 1, basically.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty impactful.
Yeah, and it's like being able to wait till the 11th activation if your opponent has less than you is really big. So, and I was messing around with the turret because now you have to take the turret. That thing is kind of funny because it double shoots. And what I did in my game was I threw an ammo cache up onto the vantage point and like closer to my drop zone, and then I dropped the turret from the sky onto that vantage point and like onto the ammo cache. So then next turn it double shot with balanced from the ammo cache, and it has accurate because it's on advantage. And if you have the other ploy, you're getting 2 rerolls because the ammo cache technically doesn't give balanced. So you'll have double balanced, accurate 1, double shooting with like a crack grenade, effectively, or a frag if you want it.
Disgusting, dude.
Yeah, in theory, it's kind of nice. In my game against Ryan, I rolled, I double shot his sergeant and got 2 hits across 8. I guess it was like 10 or 11 dice rolled, so I did nothing. And then he shot back with the plasma and killed it. But I still trust the process on the turret up there.
Yeah, it's there. The math is there. The math is there, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I played my experience playing Scions before the data slate. I played one at Adepticon, and I literally walked across the table to give my opponent a hug. He was a real nice guy. I've never met, but like I was like, oh gosh, where's your comms at? Because I was thinking like Castrican comms. He's like, yeah, I actually don't have a comms, dude. I was like, wait, what? Like, you have these. This is all you. These are all the tools you have. Like, I felt bad for him in the moment. They were just hurting so bad before. So I hope they can play the game, dude, because it's a cool team.
I mean, to be fair, the leader is a comms basically, but it is a little. He's got the 3 AP and a comms ability, but it is pretty jank. I don't know. I mean, I think they're pretty good now. I really do. I mean, 11 activations. You got a couple piercing 2 weapon. Not a lot of teams have more than 1 piercing 2 weapon. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of another other than like some of the elf teams can get like a blaster and a
pistol and a
yeah. So like I think that's it. Like Corsairs and Hand of the Archon, and I don't think anybody else other than Echelons, because I'm pretty sure. Maybe they might have nerfed the Inquisition. I think they can only have 1 piercing 2 now or something, but
something like that. Yeah.
Either way, it's a small list. Especially when you're dropping from the sky, it feels pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty impactful. So I'm hoping they can play the game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's obviously the Sanctifiers got nerfed. I haven't played against them since the nerf. I'm happy about it, but I did get a game with Gormongers too. That was the other game I got in this past week. They're pretty sweet. Have you played with them yet?
No, dude. So I played a game with Sanctifiers against them back in like the very, very early days, but I have not piloted them yet, which like pretty bummed about because I was hyped on. Dude, I was so hyped on them when they came out, and then everybody jumped on them, and I was like, well, I want to play these guys. If everybody's playing them, I don't want to play them. So yeah, how was it?
So I played against Angels of Death Dueler, which is like one of the worst things you can play against.
Gross.
with Gormongers, and I actually I ended up tying in the game, and I experimented a little bit because on Just Another Kill Team podcast this past week they had Dan on, the world champion, who was talking about playing recover items with Gormongers.
Oh, I heard this, man. I heard this take. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, let's give it a try, and I ran recover items, and yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Here's a question: were you wearing the sunglasses and were you singing ABBA? Because that's what Dan does.
Maybe that's what I needed to do. I mean,
if you weren't wearing Ratman's jacket and Can You Roll a Crit's flag and Jimmy Kelly's glasses, and you weren't singing ABBA, that's probably why it didn't work out for you, dude.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I gotta ask Dan and make sure that he was doing that in his games with the recover item, because oh my god, I got 2 points on it. I picked up one of them on the last turn of the game, last activation of the game. Maybe it's you don't do it into your worst matchups, but I can't help but think that if you're crushing somebody so hard on turns 2 and 3, that you're probably able to pick up confirmed kills. But I don't know. Maybe I just haven't unlocked the part of my brain that needs to be working in order to score recover items well. I tried it with Kroot once, which in theory is should be one of the best teams for it because the dogs. I still couldn't get more than 4 points, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's on its apology tour from last edition, dude, for sure.
Yeah,
it was too good, and so now it's making its apology tour.
Yeah, it was really good. I kind of forgot about that. And I mean, yeah, recon in general is I do think that recover items is better than I don't know, because I think in a vacuum it's worse than Implant, because Implant is very easy to max and score, but I think that recover items is maybe more conducive to winning games than Implant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Implant this edition, again, another one paying its dues from last edition. It's just, I wish you could do it while you retaliate. I haven't played as teams that have this, because I'm normally Seek and Destroy, Security, some recon, but I feel like you should be able to do it on the way out. You know what I mean? But maybe I'm wrong here. But it just limits you. Okay, I guess you got to throw away your little piss baby operative to score a point. It doesn't feel so good this edition.
Yeah, damage is really important, and to me it feels because over the course of a game you're giving up maybe 3 to 9, unless you're a team that has attacks that do no damage, there's the Nemesis Claw. I know that they're 2-3, or I guess it's 2-0 devastating 3 on their little vial blast attack. Yep. A lot of people will implant with the 0 crit damage, which is that's all well and good, but at the end of the day you want to kill stuff, and I think that makes winning games easier. I mean, even if you ignore the fact that you're giving up a lot of damage normally outside of those situations, I think it's hard to leave models on the board that you've attacked and then win a game, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see it, and they haven't tweaked any attack ops, so this probably isn't coming. I imagine this is just things will get changed for the next go around. But I feel like you should be able to do it while retaliating. That feels like a good fix, because you don't want to just have to surveil. That's a bummer.
Yeah, it definitely is a bummer. And I mean, then there's wiretap, which is just a non-entity.
How can we forget about wiretap, dude? Never mind. Infiltration's fine. Never mind, dude. It's all good.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I think wiretap might be not just the worst tac op right now. I think it might be the worst
ever.
I don't know if there's, since the second edition came out, if there's a tac op worse than. I'd have to go back and really dig in. But wiretap is really uniquely bad.
God awful, dude.
Yeah. I mean, surveillance is my favorite out of those 3, and it's still pretty bad most of the time. But
unless you have one operative that can just completely abuse it, then it's then you're just out of luck.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know plant beacons is probably the best tac op. If you're grading them, but
yeah, if you have the action economy for it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think in general it's I simultaneously think it's the best tac op, but also overrated. I think some people live and die by it a little too much. And I've played a lot of games where it's turn 4 and my opponent is weighing the choice between trying to kill something or planting a beacon, and they end up having to give up points effectively, and then you like think back at how many points did they give up before in the past turns just by doing that. So it's definitely a very easy like 4 to 5 VP, but I think it's easy to miss the costs, I guess the opportunity costs that come with it.
Yeah, and people like, again, you got to keep in mind, this is a common mistake you see all the time, is like, yeah, like plant beacons is good, but it's not good for every team. And like, just like, I have spent a lot of time playing Nemesis Claw, and I sort of banging my head against the wall this edition with them, because like I love them last edition, and this edition I've just had a hard time finding like just the right groove. Is like, you're basically just praying that your chain snares don't whiff. Like, that's kind of the whole entire experience. Like, and even it came to what you said was a great example. Like, people with Nemesis Claw, they will take Implant, and I just can't see the sauce there. And then how do you score Implant? Okay, I guess you're praying to roll a crit on your Terror Chem Vial, and then you charge and you're praying to roll a crit with your Rending Skin Thief, and then you're praying to roll okay on your Chain Snares. Like, you're just raw dog in life with Nemesis Claw. So anybody playing them, I respect, but like, I don't see, like, certain tac ops are just not right for the teams. They can be right, but not right for every team.
Yeah, and it's wild because there's people that think Nemesis Claw is like one of the best teams in the game, and I do think that they're very good. But man, yeah, I can't bring myself to play them for the same reasons that you're talking about. There's just a lot of ways that you can get a little bit gimped by variance with that team, and I like reliable teams. They're not particularly beefy either for an elite team. They're one of the less beefy elite teams.
Yeah, you can't ignore injury, which is pretty penalizing.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure. Nemesis Claw is a scary one, and they didn't get changed at all, I don't think, other than Return to Darkness, the random being able to move
that was
forward. Good. Yeah, on ITD. I'm kind of glad they changed that. But yeah. I mean, what else is there? I guess so we haven't done our tier list yet. I see the tier lists are starting to come out.
Ooh, yeah, you gotta put it out. The holy tier list, dude.
Yeah, it's
look,
probably...
look, we got a new pope today. We need a new tier list. Okay, get on that, Shane.
Yeah, I've been trying to consult with the American Pope about his thoughts on the meta.
I wonder what the Vatican thinks about this.
Oh, he'd be a big Sanctifiers player, right? I mean, that makes sense.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, I bet he's happy.
Yeah. So honestly, it's probably gonna be next week for people listening for the tier list. I genuinely don't. There's a few teams that I'm not sure about yet that I want to get more developed thoughts on before I do that. Namely, Pathfinders, I think, is a big one.
Yeah, man. It's is it enough, Shane? Is it enough? Are they back or are they not back?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say, like, obviously, I don't know for sure. Otherwise, I would have the tier list by now. But my spider senses are tingling with this when I see these changes, man. It is reminiscent, maybe a little bit.
Oof. Pathfinders, again, there's a few teams out there, man, that are just difficult to get the balance right, it seems. And like, that's one of them. It's riding on a razor's edge of too good and not good enough.
And yeah, and I think there's an interesting conversation to be had there, because some teams are just so hard of a skew that you're going to run into these situations where they're either really bad or really good, and like you said, I think Pathfinders falls into that a little bit. I mean, we do know this new Tyranid team coming out is going to be 5 bodies. I mean, maybe that's going to be that kind of situation. So who really knows? But no, I mean, I look at the Pathfinder changes, and it's like they're hitting on 3s again with the marker light. They're getting balanced from their marker light, which before there was just like saturate and then balanced, and now it's balanced into weapon skill 3 or ballistic skill 3.
Pretty huge.
Yeah, and that's really big, and a lot of people don't know this, but Pathfinders have like one of the better alpha strikes in the game.
Yeah, I was just reading up on this. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I guess for people that don't know, so the drone controller, if you take him, then your drones, you add 2 inches to the movement of them, and they're normally 6-inch movement. So if you take a gun drone and a recon drone, which you will, then you're 12 activations. Let's say you out activate the opponent and they have like 10 or less. You can use your ploy to dash forward a couple drones on turn 1, and then wait until your opponent's done activating, and jet your 8-inch moving drones, dash them both within 2 inches of the enemy, and put them on engage, and the drone controller can twice in one activation like command them both to shoot, each of them once. So I mean, that's like you're dashing 3 inches up, you are moving 11 more, so it's 14. So it's a 16-inch threat range on 2 guys, with pretty good guns. So I mean, I don't know. That's pretty terrifying. They just seem like, they don't have like the worthy cause crap they had last edition, but
yeah, not quite as toxic.
Yeah, but I can't help but feel like there's something there, probably.
Yeah. Even if it's just enough to sort of keep elite players in check a little bit, that would be good. A healthy, like a good holistic change for the meta. Because like I know people are upset that elites didn't get changed. I see that a lot. Like Phobos. I'm particularly I'm salty that Phobos didn't get changed. Phobos is my Nemesis team this edition. I've been beating my head. Like it's the one team that just drives me nuts. But like everybody's mad that elites didn't get touched. But that's again sort of going back to the sort of you're pointing out the SKU list. It is just as I played elites through all 3 editions of Kill Team, and so like they finally feel good. But are they too good? Like what if it's just a razor's edge. If you take just a smidge off in the wrong place, now you're hurting again. So like as long as Pathfinders are good enough just to hurt elites, which I think they can do, like I think that would be holistically good for the meta.
Yeah, and I think you might be right. Honestly, it is. I think there's a good conversation to be had there about elites, and because before Blood and Zeal came out, there was a bit of an elf meta, kind of, where teams like Corsairs and Hand of the Archon and stuff and Void Dancers could reasonably threaten elites with like a lot of piercing too and just crazy movement and like threat ranges. And now Blood and Zeal comes out, which specifically Sanctifiers in particular crush these elf teams, and then we get a data slate where we see Corsairs get nerfed, we see Hand of the Archon get nerfed. I mean, Void Dancers took like a negligible nerf, but they did take a nerf.
Yeah, nothing.
But Void Dancers, to their credit, I mean, they did get another nerf in the FAQ a little bit earlier, where their climb is now 2 inches instead of 1.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's sort of a domino effect of Sanctifiers come out, and Corsairs and Hand of the Archon and Void Dancers, they all get nerfed, and then the elites, for the most part, really don't get nerfed. So the elite meta, it felt like it wasn't the only thing for a second, and now we're kind of gearing back towards that right now. And I mean, there's definitely some teams out there that beat elites, and I think it's a little bit like it's not talked about enough, because I think Ekkons, have the potential to with the new buff. I mean, Pathfinders might, and remains to be seen. First of all, the hard part about figuring out how strong Pathfinders are is you got to find somebody that plays Pathfinders and play against them or talk to them, and there's not a lot of those out there. But I think Hyrotech Circle, who I've been playing lately, absolutely wash elites. I mean, they're out there, teams that beat elites, but they're not typically like the top teams. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting meta right now, because you have to be able to balance the elite, handle the elite teams, and also handle like Sanctifiers and Gormongers, which I don't know how many teams can do both.
Yeah. That's why I'm happy that I got into Plagues when I did, because I got into Plagues before the box dropped and all that kind of stuff. Just as sort of for the team tournament we were going to do, is that I played them when when Plagues first dropped, and I was like, I wasn't quite clicking, because I was trying to be I was trying to play them like Legionaries or like Nemesis Claw, and it just wasn't clicking. And then we doubled up for the team tournament, and I was forced to play them. And I was like, oh, it's actually now it's all clicking. Like in the, sort of the weeks leading up, I was like, oh, just the slow grind sort of clicked in, and so I'm happy with them right now, just as an answer to the Blood and Zeal box because I haven't played the Gormongers matchup with them, but I feel like Contagion's really going to hurt that, and so I think they're in a good place to handle both of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even think of what Gormongers can begin to do against Plague Marines. It's kind of one of the main reasons I don't want to pick up Gores right now is because that matchup just sounds so horrible, along with Angels of Death Dueler, but I think Plagues is worse because you're hitting on 4s, you're like half of your, I mean, there's the damage reduction, so a lot of your attacks are 4/5. Half
they can make you 3/4 for a CP. Like even if you want to double fight them, like cool until the end of the activation. Enjoy that bolter, profile.
Yeah, and I mean, it just seems really difficult. I can't, and you're pretty much strictly melee. All of your shooting is, it's first of all, it's mostly short range. I mean, the wrist chains are 2 inches, which is contagion range if you have a poison token or if you're near the icon.
Yeah.
You have a couple 8-inch range shooting, but all of it's 0 piercing, and they don't have any built-in ways to get rerolls for their shooting, so you're not exactly gonna like take a crack grenade and get a lot of work done with it consistently. I mean, you might get some chip down, but it just sounds really difficult. I'm not totally sure. And then, like, you can chip them, but, Plague Marines have one of the better heals in the game, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're poised well, at least for right now. And then the Sanctifier matchup, we've chatted about that before, but like of all the teams I can take on Sanctifiers, Plagues, at least in the before the nerf, I think they still will do okay for the same reasons, but they. In my experience, the Melta is going to get you turn 1, so you're going to get somebody, and then hopefully they don't win, turn 2, and then after that, like, nothing dies. Like, you get burned down a little bit, but it's not that bad, and you can kind of pick them apart. But now they're going to play cagey. I think it'll be a similar situation. It's not going to kick off until turn 2 and you're done activating. Because at least the good thing about them jumping out and being like freaking Baboon City on you, like at least they sort of stretched apart and overextended, which you could punish, which now you just won't be able to. And so I think Plagues are still going to do well into them, though. At least have a good win path.
Yeah, I mean, the one time I played that matchup with Plagues, the Melta hit me turn 1. It actually spiked and got like 3 crits and killed my champ. And then they won initiative turn 2 and shot again. And then I think I just won 20-3 after that. So like you just sort of eat that in the beginning, and then once the Melta's gone, Sanctifiers don't have a lot of ways to hurt Plague Marines. So I think that's one of the strengths of playing Plagues right now is they don't really hard lose to some of the popular meta teams.
Yeah. I just recorded a video on Plagues that I'm in the middle of editing right now, and that's like one of the main points is like I do love a good like sort of counter meta pick, and so I sort of stumbled into that with Plagues before this box drop, and so pretty like Legionaries were kind of like that before last edition as well. As like they did, they had good matchups into the popular teams, and so if these guys do the same thing, it's pretty sweet. And I don't know what it says about me, but I love teams like I love the Nanomine. I love things that make my opponent's team worse. I don't know what it says about me, but I love it. I love the debuff teams.
I'm kind of the same way. I also enjoy that. I either need debuffs or
are we bad people? I think it means, are we bad people? Is that what it means?
I think you might be right. I think that's it, actually. It's either I need to be messing with my opponent, or I need my models to be so tanky that like my opponent's getting mad because they can't kill me, and that's when I'm in a good spot. So
yeah,
I mean Fellgore are
that's
like
Plagues
that
to a T. Fellgore, yeah.
Which honestly, Fellgore, I haven't played them since the nerfs, but it's funny because I feel like
what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I feel like I have played this version of Fellgore's because it's basically Fellgore's from the end of last edition. when you look at it. Like
only difference is really the counteract change, right?
So the counteract change, I'm trying to think of what else is actually different from them right now compared to last edition at the end. Outside of the game being different. I mean, for the most part, it's very similar. The ambush no longer giving you fails to hits, only hits to crits.
Yeah.
Yep. So last edition it was like that, and that just meant that you took Violent Temperament a little bit more. And I think that's just where you're going to be now. Is you're at Adepticon, I was realizing, I actually don't need to take Temperament a lot of the time because Ambush gives me reliability. Not anymore. And then of course the Mangler and the Gnarl Scar are down to 10 wounds. It's just it's
a good change.
Yeah, it's just I like to imagine it's just like a battle going on between like two guys in the office at Games Workshop headquarters where one guy wants them to be 11 wounds and the other guy wants them to be 10 wounds, and they're just like in an eternal war with each other.
God, imagine if Fellgore were all 11. All 11 wounds.
Oh, man.
There are two wolves inside of me. One wants 10 wounds, one wants 11.
Ugh. I would love 11 wound Felgores.
God, disgusting.
But yeah, I mean, I think they're undeniably still good. They're one of the better teams into Sanctifiers. I think Gormongers is a rougher matchup for Felgores, but it's super doable. Their chip damage.
I agree.
Yeah, the chip damage took a little hit from the Shaman losing Seek and getting Seek Light, which was actually pretty impactful in that matchup in particular. And I don't know if you were tuned in, Ben, to the spicy Felgore ammo cache tech that we were talking about last week.
Ooh, no, I don't think I think I missed it.
This was my new discovery, and I didn't really discover this until after Adepticon. So
yeah, you were talking with George about that. Yeah, okay, yeah, I did hear that. Yep. Yeah, for those who didn't, give it to us again.
Yeah, I mean,
with the shaman tech.
Yeah, I mean, RIP this tech. It's now pretty much dead. But you drop the ammo cache down where you're going to put your shaman, and then the shaman on turn 1 with full seek gets 4 shots on 3s now with balanced 1/3 rending. So you get another chance at a crit, which is where it spikes, and it bumps it like 10% on the odds to get a crit. It goes from like 50 to like 60%.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
And then you'd shoot and you'd move out of the way, and then on turn 2 he'd move back onto it and shoot again. And when you're playing against a team like Gormongers, where you're not killing them in 2 hits in melee because they're half damage play, you got to chip them down first. And that was one of the best ways to do that. And now it's pretty much gone because it's Seek Light.
Yeah,
nobody uses light cover on Volcus, at least.
The Vandal will still do well there. But the Vandal hits on 4s, right?
The Vandal hits on 4s, but he's got the hammer swing to do D3+1.
You can wing the Bing Bong, yeah.
And then the Toxhorn doing a little chip damage there. It's definitely not as spicy as it was before. That's probably a losing matchup, but like maybe like 40-60 in favor of Gores. And but in general, I mean, against most stuff, I think Felgores are pretty much fine. They're a little more fair. They weren't really dominating before, but I don't think these nerfs are going to make them bad or anything. They're still one of the better teams in the game.
Yeah, I've been looking at them, and I think I'm going to pick them up as like I think I can feel good about playing them at the shop around the locals now. Like I think they're still going to be a little strong for that, but like before it was just like I can't with the 11 wound change. Like how many times I played them, and somebody who's maybe not like super competitive, whatever, you're getting a game in, and they get so excited that they killed the Mangler, and it's like, I'm sorry, dude, he's 11 wounds. Like I'm so sorry. Like now he's gonna activate and kill you. I'm so sorry. So like I think I can bust him out against the locals and feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at this point, I don't think people can get too mad about Fellgore. If you're getting mad about Fellgore still, you probably have just always hated them. And then, if you really hate Fellgores that much, go play Plague Marines, and you'll never feel sad about playing against Fellgore.
Yeah, that's it's a similar thing to Gores. Is that like the one thing keeping me away from goats right now is Plagues and Dueler.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing right now in this meta is Plagues and Dueler are just like such a deterrent to melee teams. And I think they got to do something with Angels. They didn't get touched at all in the data slate, but like I think they should nerf Dueler Get rid of that double parry on the crit. That does not need to be there. You can keep the normal can parry a crit. And then, like, buff some of their other chapter tactics, too. Because I think a lot of the chapter tactics are, like, very boring and like, vanilla.
Useless.
Yeah, I don't want to say useless, but that's kind of where we are with a lot of them.
I'll say it. I'm the guest. I'll tell you. I think a lot of them are useless right now.
Yeah, and it's not... Yeah, I mean, even worse than useless is they're mostly boring. I think I'd rather have exciting, useless stuff than like slightly useful, boring stuff. We just got to get some spice in there because right now Dueler is really problematic, and a lot of the other ones are just like falling flat for me. I would not suggest we just flat nerf Angels, like nerf Dueler and don't touch anything else because to their credit, they're not winning anything. They're just like a gatekeeper. Right.
Yeah. So many times I've seen people, like, especially people newer to the game, they pick up Angels and, like, they're excited to mix and match chapter tactics to, like, create their Legion or whatever. And they start off doing silly stuff, whatever, and, like, you meet them a couple weeks again talking about it and, like, yeah, I'm running a Hardy Dueler. Like, it's just the only thing worth taking.
Yeah, Hardy Dueler. Yeah, Dueler Hardy, and then if you're up against a melee team, you can swap out that Hardy for aggressive, and then if you get stunned, some guys get stunned, then you pay a CP for the Resolute for ignoring stun. It's just sort of a lame bummer right now to see play or Angels, because I do think they're pretty fun outside of the chapter tactics, and I think they need to make the chapter tactics a little bit more. They need to fix the internal balancing, and I say while you're doing that, make it a little more fun, because the core faction roles should be a little more exciting than what those are.
I can co-sign that. It's a good take.
Yeah, and then, obviously we just talked about plagues, but it's hard for the melee teams to deal with those two things. So, because I want to play Gormongers really bad. They feel like the natural progression for me from Fellgores, but
for sure.
Playing against Angels the other day with the Dueler, it was like, what the heck am I supposed to do here? Like, I can't fight you. I can't, like, shoot you. Like, you can double shoot me.
What can men do against such reckless hate? Like, what do you even do there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty tough, though. I mean, they definitely have, like, against Angels, you can get a little clever with chip damage, and, like, the Inciter, I will admit, does a little bit more than I thought he would. That's the double pistol guy. But, I don't know. In general, I mean, Angels sounds really hard, and Plague sounds flat out impossible. So, and those are just such popular teams that I don't think I can justify picking up.
Yes, the two starter teams, for God's sakes. Yeah, like they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're
like,
all over.
You could lose into, like, if you're in a tournament or something, you could lose a game, like maybe against a newer player, even just on stats because of those starter teams.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of dancing on the grave of Corsairs. I'm happy that team got nerfed, and they're still good, just to be clear. But I think everybody that was playing them before, a lot of those people are going to drop them now, and that was one of the teams that was keeping those teams a little more honest. And hey, especially my Jaegers. I mean, I was kind of stoked for the potential of Jaegers becoming good in an elf meta, because Jaegers just crush elves. But as soon as Jaegers get good, the elves get toned down and people stop playing them. So it's like kind of a bummer there.
Yeah, it's an interesting ebb and flow of like, everybody sort of thinks of balance as, sort of the individual team balance, but if you sort of got to look at it holistically. Like, there is balance to the individual teams and stuff, but there is also the larger balance of the meta, at large, which is seemingly, a cruel mistress to tangle with.
Yeah, and it's like kind of it like lines in with the concept of like a stealth buff. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard that term.
Oh yeah.
Where, like, tomorrow, if they did a random extra data slate and they just nerfed Dueler and they nerfed the crap out of Plague Marines somehow, then, in my opinion, overnight, Gormongers are the best team in the game. And
yeah, they skyrocket.
Which is funny because they're not the one getting changed. They would be in their current state where they're a good team but not the best, and maybe going to struggle to win a tournament because they're going to hit some gatekeepers. But the second those gatekeepers are gone, I mean, that's the best team, I think.
Yeah. I want to play around with them, dude. They're so sick. I just bought 40K had a bunch of World Eater stuff release, and they put out some cool World Eaters dice, so I picked those up. So I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for the Gormongers.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I mean, my one game in with them, really. I want to like experiment with the idea of not taking the Impaler, the guy with the harpoon gun.
Yeah.
Because I guess if it's like 7 or 8 wounds, I think it's okay. But above that, it just, or I guess not 7 or 8 wounds, but 5 up saves is really the key. It's not the wound count; it's the save.
Yeah.
His damage is just so unreliable. If your opponent has like reliably, is like semi-reliably able to get 2 out of 3 saves, and for the trade-off of losing an aspirant is you're losing 4 or 5 damage. You're getting 3-4 melee instead, and you're missing out on that like little ping pong charge that they get, which is just such a crazy strong ability. And yeah, it's not going to go off every turn on every guy, but just having the redundancy of it across the board, and if it goes off once, it's like kind of backbreaking. Yeah, I really like the team. They are like, they do feel a little bit like they're in that galaxy brain territory where you have so many options every time you activate that it's a little bit daunting. And like higher tech feels that way with like the cryptech, but with Gormongers it kind of feels that way with like everybody that you go with on the team.
Yeah, an 8-inch move is hell of a drug on the Gores, and on the harpoon guy, like the fantasy is, oh man, you shoot that assault intercessor, do a little chip damage, and yoink him closer for a charge or whatever. But with 8-inch moves, like when can you not charge somebody? Like when are charges not presenting themselves with this team?
Yeah, exactly. And typically you're gonna have to move the guy out to even get the shot, which means after the shot you're out in the open on engage. So I mean,
he's eating 8 damage, yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna get double shot. I mean, you're gonna yank them into their pistol range, which they're already in because you're within 8, and then they're just gonna double shoot you because you're on engage and you're gonna die. So yeah, I mean, I think in a 5-up saves where you can actually get the damage through somewhat reliably, it's probably pretty good. Maybe you rock the ammo cache or something. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah.
But
and then it's also tough because like into those 5-up saves, like you're talking about lower wound counts, is like, man, is that ping pong aspirant? Is that even in like the teams that would have 5-up saves? Maybe the aspirant is better just for an extra ping pong.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'd have to imagine that there's some value there. I guess into like the 10 wound 5-up saves, like like I guess the mirror match, and also
fair enough.
Felgores and commandos, because you're probably not gonna like kill them in melee in one go anyway. So I guess
I forgot about commandos.
Yeah,
I literally forgot they existed. Oh my god,
they're still out there.
Good riddance.
Yeah, not for much longer. But yeah, no, I think that there's something there. I mean, like the play that saved my game against the Angels was there was 3 Angels with like each of them in the middle of the board with 1 wound, 2 wounds, and 1 wound respectively. And I had 2 CP, and I did the strategy ploy with my aspirant to charge into one of them, and then it's a tough spot because I've got I have 2 Gormongers left on the board. He's got 3 Marines. They're all in the middle of the board, all 5 of the models that are left. And I do the strategy phase ploy to charge one of them in. And okay, so here's what happens. If he activates the guy that I just charged with and kills that guy, I pay a CP and blow up, and we both die. Yep. And then I activate, and I double kill the 2 guys with 1 wound left with the surviving guy. But if he kills the other guy, I still blow up. And then the other guy that's alive, 1-shot kills, and then charges and does the free fight to kill another guy. And the craziness of the aspirant ability is what saved this game, because I have the guy that's not in combat. He decides to go first and double shoot that guy, and he kills him. The model dies, and then he's got 3 Marines, and I've got the 1 aspirant left, and the aspirant fights, kills the guy in 1 hit, does the free charge 2 inches over into the other guy. I do the blood thing for the free fight action, So he fights a second time, kills that guy, and then I'm on that recover item, and I'm like, it's sinking in. I'm like, whoa, I just fought, charged, and fought, and I still have an AP left. And I just used it to pick up the other token. Yeah. And just seeing that, I was like, holy crap, how do you ever drop an aspirant? You know?
Yeah, I love that ability back when Legionaries had it in last edition, dude. The perpetual aggression. I eventually got on board with Khorne after sort of the need for Slanesh died down, and that it's so addicting, dude. The consolidation is addicting.
Yeah, I love it. I want to change gears a little bit.
It's the best
here.
thing about Nemesis Claw.
Oh, for sure it is. That and Vox Scream.
Yeah.
I want to change gears a little bit here because we kind of mentioned rotation briefly. And, you know, we're kind of getting closer, and I know you do a lot of TOing down in Florida. What is your plan for once teams get rotated out? Are you going... Because I've heard a lot of people, like, say what they're going to do, and then, like, as we get closer and closer, I want to see how much of that sticks. So what's your plan? Are you going to enforce the rotating, or are you're gonna say, play whatever you want? Like, what's the plan there?
So I kind of want to see how it plays out first. I've also heard a lot of bold claims, and I feel like it's not wise to make a hard call before we see how it's going to go down. Because like I don't know the process. Like I know they said they're going to continue to balance these teams. You know, they're getting out of the game or something like that. And so like that bodes well. But like, is it gonna are they going to get as much attention as the other teams? Like it would feel really weird if you win a gold, because like I run the events at Warp Fire, and so we get some golden tickets throughout the year. Like it would be really weird to me to win a golden ticket with a team that was supposed to be out of rotation. Like to me, that feels like it goes against. I think it goes against the spirit of the game a little bit. But I can totally see running some for fun events without golden tickets, like maybe doing some zany things and letting declassified teams play. So like I have not made any hard decisions on that yet. I want to see how it plays out. But again, to me, it feels weird that you could win a golden ticket with a declassified team. That's where I'm at right now before seeing how it all rolls out.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. I mean, ultimately, this is going to be more up to Ryan because he's kind of our main TO here. But I think my take is, for if we're running a golden ticket event, probably that's when we would enforce it and say classified teams only. Rotated teams are out of the picture because you're playing to go to Worlds, and you're going to go to Worlds, and that team's not going to be allowed. So why should we allow it in the qualifier?
Yeah.
But for casual event, I don't want to say casual, but for non-golden ticket tournaments, I think we'll allow them. And I think what I would do personally is I wouldn't ban them, the rotated teams, but I would maybe soft encourage players to play classified teams, I guess, without pressuring them, because they say they're going to balance it, but I don't know. I have my doubts about that. I could
That's
see
the whole
maybe,
thing, dude. Like,
yeah.
Do you honestly believe? And this is just like in general, like it doesn't make sense to put as much effort into declassified teams as you would need to in the classified teams. Like, I don't think it just makes sense. And so I again, without seeing it happen, I feel like more care is going to the classified teams, which is only the thing. It's only what makes sense to me. So yeah, like I said, I'm basically in the same boat there, because like the only feels bad is like we got a new player and they just built their commandos they've been sitting on for 3 years and they're excited to play, and now you can't play. That's a big feels bad. But yeah, golden tickets, it would feel so much against the spirit of the game to win with like a declassified team. So I'm on the same train.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, there are so many teams in this game right now. And we got 2 more coming out before the end of the season with the Servitors and the Raveners. So yeah. I think, and I counted it up earlier today because I was thinking about this, but there's going to be like 14 teams rotated out at the end of the season.
Yeah,
and
massive change to the meta. Massive.
Yeah, and I think it's going to give the game a little more breathing room, I guess. And I think there is something to be said for onboarding new players if they come in and there's like 50 55 teams that they need to learn. I don't think that's particularly good for the game. I played a little bit of I played a little bit of Marvel Crisis Protocol for a while, competitively, and that game at this point, I think there's got to be over 200 characters in that game. And
Woof, dude.
It's and I know they're never going to do any rotating in that game, and I don't know. I'm kind of glad for the concept of it, and as for the balancing, I think that they said they're going to continue to balance those teams as like a caveat, like just in case something gets discovered where one of the old teams is actually super broken, they can flip the red switch and nerf them. But I don't think a bad rotated team will ever get a buff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, dude. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I personally will not be like these tier lists. Let me tell you, the last few tier lists we've done, there's just so many teams. They take so long, and there's the last tier list we do this season is going to be 4 teams longer than the ones we've been doing. And when rotation happens, I think Ryan and I are going to stop ranking the rotated teams. To be completely honest.
Oh yeah, dude. Because like, it just, especially when people are going online to watch content, that's also weird. Like, now you're gonna let people think that those teams are in when they're really out. And like, sort of to touch on the fatigue point, like that you put on like Marvel Crisis Protocol and Kill Team, like 55 teams is too many teams. Like, there's like, you look at 40k and people will say that, like, there's a lot of comparisons for Kill Team and 40k, and thankfully it's less now because Kill Team is its own game. But I know you remember the days where there was just nonstop comparison, and so people like 40k is complex in its own way, but it's also like when you play, say you play a Space Marine team, that Space Marine team in 40k is going to be only bringing the good units, and so they're going to have a bunch of the same good unit. Versus where in Kill Team, like the fatigue comes in, like, okay, there's 55 teams or 40 teams, whatever, and instead of each team having the same type of model, like there's 10 specialists. Like, good luck remembering all that. So that's a level of fatigue that people don't sort of understand, because like you're going to see a couple of good units in 40k, but in Kill Team you're going to see every specialist on a team, which it brings a lot of mental fatigue.
Yeah, and it just opens the door for more gotchas for newer players, and it's just like a bad vibe. I think ultimately it would be a shame in 2 years if Adepticon happens or LVO happens and there's still 20 people playing Phobos or something. Not to rip on Phobos, but like there are so
let's
many...
rip on Phobos. Let's rip on them.
There's so many...
Nemesis this edition.
Yeah. And I say that specifically because, and it's not specifically a Phobos rip, but it's more of a Season 1 teams rip, where the teams that are coming out now are so much more interesting and crazy and wacky and cool, in my opinion. Even as somebody that, I'm not a Tyranid fan or an Admech fan, but Servitors and Raveners, just without having their rules even, it is so much crazier and cooler as a box than anything we got in Season 1, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I think we want to keep encouraging people to play these, like, awesome new teams, because Kill Team is getting crazier and more experimental with the new teams coming out. It feels like every team is like trying some new bizarre rule, like with Akkons dropping in, that's their whole thing. And Ratlings, you have a team full of sniper rifles basically.
Yeah,
and there's just cool stuff coming out, and I think I don't want to see Hunter Clade and Phobos and Corsairs forever. Well, actually, Corsairs are pretty cool, but still, like, those teams have had their time. And
it's a sentiment.
I'm pretty much ready to move on. But yeah, in casual games, if people want to play Corsairs or Phobos against me forever, I'm not going to care. But I think it'll be better for new players at tournaments.
Yeah, and I think like I'm somebody like my favorite Season 1 team, like, and throughout my up until this edition, like Legionaries, favorite team of all time. Like I played Legionaries from the second they dropped up until after Worlds this edition, where I just got sick of them. And like I even like somebody like me, huge Legionary fan, huge Chaos Space Marine fan, and I guess it's different for me because there's some other CSM teams released, but like I'm okay to let that team go because we've had 3 years with that team. We've seen enough of that team. Like, you just nerds are weird about stuff like this, man. Nerds don't like change, but you just gotta embrace it, man. It's the tax that you pay to have a really well supported, well thought out game, and you just have to accept that that is the tax and pay the tax and keep playing this great game.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think we're past an hour now, so I think we're gonna wrap this up. But Ben, thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you. I appreciate you coming on pretty short notice. Before we end this, is there anything you want to shout out? Any events? I mean, you can plug the podcast, plug whatever you want, man.
Ooh, yeah, okay. So let me do a couple plugs here. Number one, yeah, Kill Team Casuals podcast on anywhere you find a podcast. Our name, we call ourselves Kill Team Casuals, and then we started like winning tournaments and stuff like that, which is kind of funky. So like we're getting less and less casual by the episode. But thankfully we still have Reese from Threes to Wound. He's keeping us very much casual. So shout out to Reese. And Battle Brothers Tabletop, I got a video on Plague Brains that'll be coming out in the next week or so. So I don't know when this drops, but in the next little bit here. And then I have a golden ticket event that I would like to plug that I'll be running. It'll be in July. Pull up my calendar here real quick. It's the Kill Team Florida Open, and it's going to be July 12th and 13th. And we're actually going to have 2 golden tickets for it. It'll be at Warpfire Minis. And it's going to be sick. I run the events there, and Warpfire is very gracious to host. And there's just like buku tables. We just had a giant expansion. There's tons of tables. We run some of the best events out there, I would have to say. And we just, good vibes, good time. The Florida scene is great. The Florida boys love visitors. So if anybody wants to come to Ocala, Florida and play July 12th and 13th, 2-day, 2 golden ticket event, come hang, come throw down with the Florida boys. It'd be a great time.
Beautiful. All right, yeah, guys, go check out Kill Team Casuals. Go to Florida, play in a golden ticket event, have fun. Extra shout out,
I promise.
Extra shout out to all of our subscribers on the channel, and extra shout out to everybody over at patreon.com/commandpoint just for pitching in a little bit every month and helping us be able to continue to do this. Keep listening. We're going to try to keep doing these weekly, which means come back next week. I'm thinking it's going to be Fridays. We're going to drop episodes, which is, not the best day, but it's at the very least, it's not interfering with the other podcasts. So listen to a new podcast every day, and we're going to try to get Command Point out every Friday. So thank you again for listening, for hanging on this long, because we're an hour and 7 minutes in, and thank you again, Ben. And everybody, have a great day.
Thanks, man. Take care.